So Shasaginish Lewerdal and Lorraine Doyle from the Glenflesk Club here in County Kerry is going to sing Our An Naveen. Lorraine. Agus anish sa blian starul shaw, Caraobh blian sin Scór ya Scór, and the first group to take to the stage tonight are from Leitrim, and they are Glencar Manor Hamilton. Corrigi Fáilte, they were dal Rev Glencar Manor Hamilton as come by Leitrim, and they're going to dance for us the Crossrail. Sin tús bré bríomhar le na haimachtaí an léinniu. And the next group taking part didn't have that far to travel. They're from County Kerry, from the Glenflesk Club. Big home support here they see tonight. And they are also dancing the cross reel. So Corrigi Falcha le wordal Rev Glenfleske as Kondai Kiri. Well, it was more deep in the agus ó Húileann inis go Condaid Minahan go Scór na Gaire. That's Emmy Vale in County Monaghan, and Emmy Vale will be dancing for us today the three tunes. So Corrigi Falcha an Ardan le wordal Rev Scór na Gaire as Condaid Minahan. Gramaile. Agus le Jeru a chur leis an Rince Fornia, Comórtas Rince Fornia, as Condaigh Kildara as Maynooth from Maynooth in County Kildare, and they're going to dance the 8-hand jig. So chuirigh fáilte le dal an ardan rith Maynooth as Condaigh Kildara.
Gur a míle mai ag na dausar í go léir, I think you'll all agree gur an caiis an intantar ar fad. Goil bás mór ní le lewer dá. Agus inis an cead comórtas eile tugann inniu ná Aránaíocht Déanair, that's solo singing, and the first to take the stage is from Condaigh and Irby as an Ballamore. Would you put a welcome please Pádraig O'Kenny, that's Pádraig Keena, agus an Táirteach Pádraig Dún Anocht ná Lón Shanna Kyle. So chuirigh fáilte le dal rih Pádraig Keena as an Ballamore Condaigh and Irby. Bula bás mór dá le
Far, far from the isle of the holy and grand, where wild oxen fatten and brave men are banned, all lonely and lone in a far distant land, do I wander and pine for poor hÉireann. Lonely and sad I roam, far from my island home, where the wild waves surging foam, headlands appearing, clouded in silver spray, flashing through heaven's bright ray, for thy glory and pride, lovely hÉireann. Sweet, sweet in Ishkathig, the sacred, the blessed, a fit place for a saint or a warrior's rest. Your sentinel towers left each storm repressed, your morning waves wail for poor hÉireann. How oft have I wandered by Shannon's bright floods, and paused as I gazed where the mighty wood stood. O God, that the bear should be best of the brood, who now blights your beauty, my hÉireann. Lonely and sad I roam, far from my island home, where the wild waves surging foam, headlands appearing, clouded in silver spray, flashing through heaven's bright ray, for thy glory and pride, lovely hÉireann. How dearly I longed for to wander once more to the loved ones I left at my old cabin door. My blessings I'd give them 1,000 times o'er, and a prayer and a tear for poor hÉireann. Sad, sad is my fate in this weary exile, dark, dark is the night cloud o'er lone Shanachile, where the murdered sleep silently, pile upon pile, in the coffinless graves of poor hÉireann. I'm watching and praying through the length of the night for the grey dawn of freedom, the signal to fight. My rifle is ready, my sabre is bright, for to strike once again for poor hÉireann. Lonely and sad I roam, far from my island home, where the wild waves surging foam, headlands appearing, clouded in silver spray, flashing through heaven's bright ray, for thy glory and pride, lovely hÉireann. Thank you very much.
A glanster na rain is leis an óránaíocht éonar as Condaith na Gaillimh in Galway, as Craobh Finn, tá Claire Agu, and Claire is going to sing in my father's house. So Cur Fáilte le Wardal an Arden with Claire Agu as Condaith na Gaillimh. Well, boss more than le Wardal.
The gable wall is all that's left now. The old thatched cottage is fallen down. I dry my eyes as I fondly the days of long ago when I was young. In my father's house, and we were poor but rich in love. No TV, but music there was plenty of. And my mama hummed those melodies, and we all sang along. In my father's house when I was young. Come the time when I am older, and my own children are red and gone. I wonder then, will they fondly remember the days of long ago when they were young. In my father's house, a smile would greet you at the door. A friendly word, weary travelers, there was welcome for. And at night time when neighbors rambled in and might stay till 12 or 1. In my father's house when I was young. Well, days have passed and times are changing. The rambling house is almost gone, but still I can hear the laughter of children, just like long ago when I was young.
Agus inis, Chinwich go Kundai Corky, go Killeen na Cronin, that's Fremont, and singing for Fremont today is Ellen Marie O'Dwyer, and Evelyn Marie Nguyer is going to sing for us today for the Allo Waters Flow. So Corky Bull Boss more, agus Falchi more and now than Rev Ellen Marie O'Dwyer. Go in a while.
Oh, now tonight, my comrades bright, come listen to my tale of bygone days in memory's haze of Fremont's lovely vales. Oh, the friends so true that we once knew, as to manhood we did grow, as we wandered free o'er hill and lea, where the yellow waters flow. At Welsh's Cross we would pitch and toss till the twilight hours of day. Then through moonlit lanes we claimed to stray, we would homeward wind our way. With Colleen's fair beyond compare, wandering we would go, trail lyre and owl, go cap and a gowl, where the yellow waters flow. From Terence Cross to Knock on Gloss, we oft times made our way. With Cross come on to Martin's Lawn, all liquor for the fray. With skill and dash we could wield the ash as we struggled with each foe, with might and grace for our native place, where the yellow waters flow. Kyle, Tan, Coolban, and Galauni come on, those boyhood haunts of old, and the grass of seeds where we sang the deeds of Ireland's heroes bold. That gallant band of rebels grand who fought that we might know sweet liberty and tranquility, where the yellow waters flow. But now a store we see no more, those golden days of youth. And when alas my soul shall pass unto the land of truth, on the chapel hill just lay me still, o'er Fremont town below, so I still can hear both loud and clear those Allo waters flow. Garmagad.
Jeru of our le comortis everydorsion around the hÉireann solo singing, Chinwich O'Huay go Ard Waha.
And representing Armagh and Ulster from the Madden Rapparees Club is Catherine Grimley, sin Catriona ní Garmle. Agus an tóranna teag Katrina nó the banks of the Callan. So Currigi Fáilte le Wardal hÉireann than Rev Catherine Grimley as Rapparee, Madden Rapparees agondai Ardwaha. Well, boss more be hello.
As I went a-walking one evening in June to view the green fields and the meadows in bloom, I spied a wee damsel as the sun it went down by the banks of the Callan near sweet Katy Town. I stepped it up to her and I asked her her name. I asked her dwelling and where from she came. Kind sir, she gave answer, my dwelling is found by the banks of the Callan near sweet Katy Town. I said, my wee damsel, if you will agree, we will both join in wedlock and married we'll be. I will dress you in rich velvet and your life I will crown if you will come with me far from sweet Katy Town. To marry, kind sir, I'm too young, and like all other young men, you've a false flattering tongue, and my aged old parents on me they would frown if I were to leave them in sweet Katy Town. So now to conclude, I must bid you adieu. To the green fields round darkly and the mountainy road too. It is true I do love her, now I've made her my bride, and we both live so happy by the sweet Callan side. Sinead, thank you very much.
And trio comórtas a tugging inniu ná ceol Arlisha, that's instrumental music. Agus támuid fannacht a gundai Ardwaha, Fáhanna Shaw, and the club representing Armagh are drum and team.
And the tunes that they're going to play for us today are the Sport Jig by Padder O'Riada, The Road to Ballymac and Murphy's Reels. So Currigi Falcha Moore an Ard and Liverdal Riv Drummond T as Kondai Ardwaha. Bulabos More Deep Liverdal. Agus nis ag glans na raile sin ceol orlishe and head group eile tugan nocht as Quiggy Lion, as Condai Ufalia, and the club is Killee. And their tunes are Behind the Haystack Jig, The Musical Priest, and Wish a Hickin Reel. So Corrigi Falcha Lewerdal, hÉireann Rev Killee as Condai Ufalia. Bulla Boss Mordi for Lewerdal.
As Quigga Lion, as Condai Ufalia, and the club is Killee. And their tunes are Behind the Haystack Jake, The Musical Priest, and Wisha Hickin Reel. So Corgi Falchi Lewardal, Erin Arden, Rev Killee as Condai Ufalia. Both of us were there.
Agus inis le Jeru a chuir leis an comórtas ceol Eirlishe, we come back to the kingdom, to Glenflesk. And the tunes are the Butterfly Slip Jig, the Gravel Walk, and the Boys of Malin Reels. So Corrigi Fáilte le bhardal an Arden of Glenfleske has Condai Kiri. Gula Bos Mordika. Gurmil Maya of Sínsear and Craobh, and again I think you'll agree that the standard was exceptionally high, all four of them tremendous. Bula Bossmore Di Leg Lewardal.
Nish and Craobh Comortus tugging in you, no Arisharat, that's recitation, and Ket Kundai Tegwal Parchin Shot, and Kundai Port Larrigan. And representing Old Parish, no Sean Fubble is Declan Terry. And Declan has a short piece of Fane Comma, a self-composed piece. It's called School Days. It's an old man's recollections of his school days as he revisits his old classroom for the local national school reunion. So Corrigi Falcha Liverdal, Erin Arden, Rev Declan Terry as Old Parish, a Gundai Port Larrigan. Bula Bossmore Dal Liverdal.
Or nahar a tar nev gonefert hanem gedagad de richt. Dose do car cars car hocht hocht a hocht de shed. O Rome vadinus naverengun. O Rome vadin. I'm sitting in my old school desk in the shadow of bygone days, and faded scenes keep flashing back of songs and psalms and prayers. Caged inside these prison walls, from freedom locked away, and our misery just seemed endless as we struggled every day. Our brains were always fully stretched, but we feared that bottom more, all them reading sums and spellings and history's tales of yore. If you doubled 46, they said you should get 92, but I could never fathom that no matter what I do. 1014 and Brian Boru and the Battle of Clontarf, and Noah was the fella that went floating in the ark. The Sahara was a desert all carpeted with sand, and Christopher Columbus got lost in some foreign land. I before E except after C, that was a spelling rule, but I always got it back to front. Should know you was talking to a fool. And then the catechism, heaven, hell, and limbo too, and those questions that were graded with dots of red and black and blue. Moses and his commandments were big news way back then. We'd belt them out in 10 seconds flat and numbered 1 to 10. Daydreams were often shattered when our absent minds took flight by writing out 100 times, Neil Cadagum vehe kaint. Though the pressure was relentless, sure we didn't realize that one day we would miss it all as we mapped the road of life. Images come drifting now like a mist at early dawn. There's the row of rusty push bikes against the graveyard wall. The desk whereon you carved your name for someone to admire, and the smell of heating cocoa in bottles by the fire. Going up to the big dark church to ring out the Angelus bell, and drawing water for the Meister's tea in a bucket from a well. Lunchtime was the best of all, but lunch was fairly light. No Tato crisps, nor Mars bars, nor drinks to energize. Buttered bread cut, good and thick, and sometimes maybe jam. Well, I remember the commotion the day Thomas had ham. Well, the football was ferocious. No rules of wrong or right, just a battle for survival for everyone in sight. And when sometimes you'd get tumbled, you'd think your knee was burst. Then you'd wipe the blood off with a fist of grass and pick out the gravel first. Now we had games where the girls joined in and added to the fun. Sure, I've most of them forgotten now, but I do remember one. Red Rover, we call shame is over. I remember that one well. Then he crashed straight through that human chain or stayed captured in the cell. Then back inside for a few more hours to carry on the load with our minds already turning to the carefree open road. The journey home was never rushed. There was always fun and capers, like calling into Mrs. Welch for a threepenny ice cream wafer, going searching for the small bird's nest you found the day before, or bursting bubbles in the melting tar beside the log of ore. No school bus at our service, and cars were scarce as well, so the shortcut was our haven, that trail we loved so well. We knew the heifer and the bull, they saluted us each turn, as the rabbit cast a wary eye from behind his shield of ferns. Then the honeysuckle's fragrant scent and the bluebells by the stream told us when we'd reached the road near the bridge in Ballycreen. Times have changed, for good and bad, I think we'll all agree. And when I sit beside the fire at night with me grandson on me knee, I try to teach him little things to feed his curious mind, like saying the prayers that I once learned in wailing Craobh. And a verse or two of Untruckling Down, sure it fills my heart with pride, but 'tis o'er home of Audine sends me sailing o'er the tide. Well, them sums are still a bother, and we're often in a fix, but he has this calculator yoke with loads and loads of tricks. Well, I press the buttons, like he said, and I swear to God 'tis true. When I doubled 46 last night, it gave me 92.
Agus nish ag leanstan ar ail leis an airishreacht, sin muid don tríú ar an ocht go Condaith Ard Watha to Carrick Croppen, and representing Carrick Croppen is Niamh Devine. And I've been practicing this title for some time, so I'll give it a shot anyway. The piece that she's doing is called Chantel de Champignon. So Corrigy Fáil hÉireann then Rev Niamh Devine as Condaith Ard Watha as Carrick Croppen.
One night in a bar, I was having a jar when my destiny had beckoned. When a vision burst on top of my thirst and flattened my pint in a second. Oh, she was a beauty fair with long blonde hair, and her look should have shame all queens, with her glistening lips and her twisting hips and her slim-fitting Levi jeans. I got up off my stool, observed my first rule, I checked myself in my phone. I got ready for a story of glitter and glory, like that of Jeremy Douglas Grania. My opening line was, "Hiya sunshine, how you going? My name's John." And with a toss of her head, this goddess said, "Hi, I'm Chantel de Champignon." By God says, "Hey, you're well bred." I mean, you're operatic, aristocratic, and, very aromatic. So tell me, what are you having? And by the fur on her brow, I could tell just how. She was torn between a short and a long. "I'll have an Irish coffee and a glass of Murphy's," said Chantel de Champignon. You see, boys, she'd been skating round, and she'd not yet found any cavemen looking for scamps. She'd scale the peaks of Kildare and Links, but it only left her homesick for the Alps. She'd seen all of Donegal, and she'd learnt Slan, Slantia, agus Bannacht, until some racial purist who couldn't stand tourists told her to go to hell or Connacht. But here she lands with a week on her hands and buys a summit chance. She'd like to see Galway and Mayo before she heads on back to France. Says I'm your man of a highest man and have nothing to do for now. Sure, the 5-acre farm will come to no harm, and the calf sure to milk the cow. So forget about the silage, let's collect up some mileage. You'll be safe as with your daddy. She says, I like you more than I did before. I'll have a Smithwick Sandy Paddy. The next day we drove through Creek and Cove and all along the western seaboard. And the music of her voice was twice as nice as the notes on any keyboard. For example, Jean, you really fill up my senses. I can see in your eyes all the stars in the skies, shining through your contact lenses. Well, here, I pulled up the man. Says she, Jean, please do not take this amiss. Says I, that's not what you'll find that I had in mind. Sure, all I wanted was a kiss. But her hair shone bright and her teeth gleamed white, and her breath it smelt like garlic. But she dug into my lips like fish and chips and the shadow of Craobh Padraig. Now, the next day we drove into the smoke, and these words she spoke before hitting on the bine. I'll tell my parents so what's transpired, and all my paltry possessions I'll pack. And then I'll return on the wings of a bird, and you I'll marry, mon Jacques. Well, for 6 days or 7, I thought I was in heaven. Sure, I was trying the suit on for size. But like every other lover, I was soon to discover I was living in Amadon's paradise. For while I was singing, Chantel, the kingdom, hallelujah, your one was beating a different drum, singing Johnny, sure I hardly knew you. Just when I thought things couldn't get better, from France then I received a letter. Dear Jean, please sit on this sofa. I have some news that will give you the blues. In a nutshell, chérie, it's over. On the plane coming back, I learned for a fact from a man who once was your friend, who says you spent 2 years in the loony bin without the marbles around the bend. I got off the plane, my parents I met, and they told me the line I must draw at the thoughts of having a middle-aged header as their son-in-law. So come on, you middle-aged headers now, and take your warning from me. Be very careful when you go for a pint in your local hostelry. Stay up on your stool, observe your first rule, and for God's sakes, don't be stupid. Give your number 1 to whiskey and rum, and never a vote to Cupid. And if perchance some goddess from France with luminous long blonde hair lights up your horizon, boys, stick to your poison. 2 simple words. Beware. Give no overtures, no misguided tours, because I'm telling you, Jeremy Douglas Grania went wrong. Because for all of your mileage, she'll leave you sitting in silage like Chantel de Champignon. Come on.
Rainis leis an arisreacht agus I give it a tree a glacu parchinu ta an Irvi Westmeath agus an Mota Elabon, that's the Moat all whites. And Motal Whites are represented by Peter Dolan, and the piece that Peter is doing for us today is The Present. So Corrigi Fáilte le Wardal Eran Arden, Rev Peter Dolan as the Motal Whites a Gundai and Irvi. Bullabos Mordal Everdal.
I was always a bit backward about going forward, and why, I do not know. Some people says it was shy, others says it was a wee bit slow. Me father blamed me mother for rearing me a lazy sod, but she maintained it was all his fault, because all his crowd were odd. But I had me eye on Mary Ann this last 18 years or so, and the only thing that held me back was in case she might say no. You see, the problem was I had turned her down back in her younger days. No, it wasn't that she had got any better looking, it was just I was a little bit less hard to please. Well, I was put in contact with this man, an expert in these things, who swore to me he had a plan and I should go and buy the rings. Says he, now, if you follow me, get the woman plan. In a week or two, I'll have her eaten out of your hand. Says he, now, the next time that you see her, pay her a lot of heed, have a good look at what she's wearing, see if there's anything she might need. Perhaps a scarf around her neck or something for her hair. If you like the plan, come back to me, says he, and we'll take it on from there. Well, begone that very evening, as I was going down for a pint, who did I meet but Mary Ann as she coming peddling on the bike? But just as we were meeting, along comes this great big truck, blew the clothes nearly clean off her, and didn't I get a real good look? Well, no, there wasn't that much she needed. Well, as far as I could see, all her odds and ends were covered up from just above the knee. But there and then I spied it. What a man can buy for the woman he loves. Sure, it was sitting there in front of me. She wasn't wearing gloves. Well, I went to town the next Thursday on a bus from Verban to try and buy a pair of gloves, the first part of the plan. I told me ma what I was doing, and could she recommend the kind? She says you'd be better off to buy a pair for yourself and not always be wearing mine. But she said, look, sure, I'll go with you. You might need me to try them on. Well, that wasn't part of the plan now, but I said I'd play along. She says, we'll go to the little drapery shop that's run by Fred McVickers. I'm in an awful way for a pair of pants. That's what women now call knickers. Well, when we got to the shop, sure, I was completely mesmerised. For when the shopman asked me, I didn't know her size. I felt an awful eager. I didn't know what to do. I said, begone, you have me there. But she's about a 7 in a shoe. Well, I bought a pair about her size, well, as far as I could tell. A lovely leather pair with a gorgeous leather smell. And then I spied a man's pair up upon the shelf, and I remembered what my ma had said, so I bought a pair as well for myself. And when I got home, I took me ma's advice, and I splashed on the remains of a bottle of Old Spice. And then I said, Ma, where's the shopping? She says, it's up upon the bed. But begone, when I went to pick up the gloves, didn't I pick the knickers up instead? Well, I left the house as proud as punch, not realising what I'd done. And I leapt up on the tractor and I got it started on the run. And when I got to Mary Ann's, I could see she was all alone. So I parked the tractor on the slope and I faced her for home. And I kind of sidled up to the door, and on it I did knock. And when Mary Ann came out, I said, now it's time we had a talk. And here's a wee something I bought in McVicker's shop, and I handed her the present with a little love heart on the top. But when she opened up the present, she didn't look one bit pleased, and the bit of a grin that had been there before had quickly been erased. Begob, says I, she doesn't like the gloves, and I felt an awful dread as her face began to tighten and the hair stood on her head. I said, well, to tell the truth, I liked them when I saw them on the shelf. In fact, I liked them that much that I bought a pair myself. You see, when it'd be cold, I'd wear me mother's. And I knew it wasn't fair to be wearing hers so much and to wear her only pair. Well, be now the face was flying on Mary Ann. I thought she'd blow a fuse, and the language that come over, I never heard a woman use. And just at that, she pushed me back and knocked me off me feet. And in the melee that followed, I lost me cap and me bottom row of teeth. Well, I free-wheeled down that boring, hopping off each stitch, with me 2 ears still ringing with the roar of the yon old bitch. And if ever I meet that expert, I'll tell him to take his plan and stick it where the sun don't shine, and to hell with Mary Ann.
Nish con an comórtas arisharat a chríndú chain mujanish go Kundai Weo to Gary Moore, and Gary Moore are represented here today by Katrina Linsky. And the piece that Katrina has for us this evening, it's a monologue. It's an original piece. It doesn't actually have a name. It's just a monologue, and like I said, an original piece. So Corrigi Fáilte Lewardal, Aaron Arden Riv, Katrina Linsky as Gary Moore, a Gundai Weo. Bula Boss Moore Di Lewardal.
The old man stood at his cottage door and took a long lash look inside. Then he turned his back on the empty rooms, and the heart inside him cried. For there on the street in the fallen snow lay the last few sticks that he owned. A couple of chairs, a table, a bed, and a clock that his mother had loaned. And sure, there was the wardrobe that once held her things, mahogany, massive and old. And there was the mirror that mirrored her face, a face that would never grow old. A few little things on the side of the road, and the old man stood thoughtful and slow. Put out of his cottage, put out on the road, an old man with nowhere to go. For 60 long years he had loyally served at the big house above on the hill. The odd job man and faithful old friend. And today he was servant there still. But the old squire had died, and his son was the hÉireann, efficient he needed new blood. So the old man was slow, so the old man was fired. All loyalties not understood. You can have a small pension, though heavens the state should look after an old man like you. I'll be needing your cottage, you'll have to get out. Will a week be enough to get through? Is it a week to get out? And to close up a chapter of 60 long years? And the old man looked out at his furniture stacked on the roadside, a roadside of tears and of fears. Then he looked at the mirror and it leaning there, propped at the old cottage wall.
and he gazed at his image reflected therein, grey-haired and haggard and tall. But as he gazed at his image, the lines on his face in the mirror had vanished and gone. There by his side was a beautiful lass with haunting blue eyes and beautiful golden fair hair. Well, he married his Noreen, and they worked at their home, washing and cleaning and painting. But somehow so keen on that cottage was he, that seldom he noticed her fainting. Oh, he'd watch her stand there with her long golden hair and the mirror reflecting her beauty. Then he'd kiss her and go to the farm for his work, obeying the stern call to duty. But one night he came back with a song in his heart, a song that was soon turned to tears, for the mirror reflected an emptiness there, and empty forever the years. Yes, his bride, she had died, and the poor lad had cried. Then he sealed up her room in his heart. And each night he'd return from his work on the farm and dream that they'd never been apart. Oh, he'd finger the things in that wardrobe of hers, and he'd stand at her looking glass. And he'd see her again as he saw her that day. They were wed after 12 o'clock mass. But now he's committed the sin of being old, with his furniture thrown in the street, with nothing ahead but the workhouse below and the charity there that he'd meet. But he looked once again at that mirror of hers for just one more sight of her hair. But the mirror was empty. The image was gone. There was nothing, just nothing there. Then a motor car passed in the snow and the slush, and the mirror was covered with mud. And the old man, besplattered, stood lonely and cold. A man who would die if he could. Then a voice spoke up kindly. "Your furniture, sir, can we take them and pop them in store?" But the old man replied, "If you store them for me, you'll be stored in forevermore. For I'm the flax of my life, I'm away to the workhouse, I'm leaving a lifetime behind. For I've come to the autumn of usefulness now, and my dreams are all gone with the wind. But I'm taking my mirror, for there in its glass I can see all the joys of the past. For I've treasured this mirror for many a long year, 'tis it makes my happiness last." Then turning his back on his cottage of life, the old man strode off up the hill, with his mirror of happiness clutched in his arms, while the people behind him stood still. He was up near the workhouse when he fell to the ground. The mirror he cherished was shattered, but the image he carried and the dreams that he dreamed went with him, and nothing else mattered.
Agus sin Jeru leis and Comórtas Arisracht, the recitations, and again I think you'll agree that they were all excellent. Turgi Bolo Boston Catarach and Reach Lewerdal.